Hello, fellow travelers. This is Veronica from Human Design Journey with the daily transit, daily, weekly. Um, okay, so let me share my screen. And here it is. The sun just entered yesterday in the 18th gate. Work on what has been spoiled. And the vigilance and determination to uphold and defend basic and fundamental human rights. This is the gate of correction, and together with the 58 gate, they make the channel of judgment, a design of insatiability. And where taste, because this is part of the stream of taste here. Uh, The next gate in the mandala is the 48 gate. So 18th, the next is 48. So if this is the gate of correction, and the 40th gate is the gate of depth, it's this process of depth. In order to get there, you first have to get through the logic of bettering and correcting. So that's an interesting thing to see. The taste, the focus of the judgment is on dissatisfaction. So especially if you have the 58 gate, the next week, you're going to be, a correction machine. But if you have it in your design naturally, the 1858, that's indeed insatiability for making things better. And those people very often waste their correction gift for the betterment of the better of society, to predict the future for a better future. And they use it for small things like mundane everyday stuff, boring to death the people around them, or even worse, frustrating them and making them angry and bitter with all this judgment. And really, it can feel like criticizing a lot. And mm, those people cannot stop themselves. It's part of the collective circuit. So keyword sharing, they cannot help themselves but share their correction with the others, and hence not invited as a projector channel. This can get indeed bitter and with a lot of resistance. So the 18th gate is the gate where we receive our deepest conditioning from our parents. It is the gate of the mother and the father of the Oedipus and Electra complex, and that's not necessarily something negative, right? Human design, there is no moral. We have a duality, and every trait, every gift can be used for the good or the bad. And here, often people can turn this correction and this judgment on themselves. They're even, imagine if they're so unforgiving, coldly unforgiving, this is part of the spleen. So it's cold-blooded, unforgiving energy, motorized under pressure from the adrenaline center, the root center. Mm, imagine what they are to themselves. This is crazy, you know? So it's good to know, especially that when we have a life force, when we have certain channel or gate which fixes us. In this case, it can be it's for others. This gift is for others because this is where we influence others. This is the student which goes to school in the open centers, but the student gives their influence and their correction in this case to the other, whether they want it or not, you know. Let the aura do the talking, but even if you don't say anything, it's there. So yeah. um in the I Ching, this gate is referred to as work on what has been spoiled, and it is the gate of essential learning, and as a result is the gate of correction. This is where we learn generationally from parent to child, and it's an indicator that there has been deep conditioning from the parent if you have this gate defined. Mm, these conditioned standards will form the basis for comparison and will be applied to everything: lovers, work, oneself. Um, and despite the circumstances, it will always invite the potential for correction. So, the very vitality of this channel denies resignation and the need to correct. To improve is a lifelong process, after all. So, without the dissatisfaction and the drive for perfection, which hones the critical skills, there is no understanding. It's part of the understanding circuit. Here is where the potential of taste is born, as I said earlier. Logical, called logical energy. And the different themes. Yesterday we were in the first gate, in the first line, conservatism, the adherence to traditional patterns despite and or in spite of changing circumstances, gradual modification to avoid eventual upheaval, the potential to correct through gradual modification of judgments, and the detriment, the patriarch whose rigidity guarantees deterioration, the potential to refuse to correct. If somebody didn't want to correct yesterday, yeah, that could have been the reason. Or the other way around, you know, the potential to correct through gradual modification. Anyways, today we're in a very interesting line: terminal disease, the recognition that what has been spoiled is irreversible, acceptance and strength derived from a faith in spiritual regeneration, the acceptance that there is no potential for correction, the futile raging against the wind, the refusal to accept that there is no potential for correction. Yeah, Don Quixote fighting the windmills, you know. Uh, terminal disease or not, if there is nothing for you here, there's nothing for you here. It's just the weather. Or it can be directed towards ourselves, and so same as the 47 gate self-oppression, terminal disease, the recognition that what has been spoiled is irreversible, so it will never be the same. And tomorrow we go to the zealot, the energetic obsession to clean the house. I love this one. The dissolution of old forms at an acceptable price, an obsession with correction and its critical potential, and the detriment, rigid judgmentation that creates as many problems as it solves, an obsession with correction that does not bring satisfaction. So, especially tomorrow, this can be quite mutative, very pessimistic material, the zealot, energetic obsession to clean the house. So, beware, that's what's in the air tomorrow. The fourth line will come the day after, the incompetent difficulties as a result of inadequacies that cannot be resolved because of inadequacies. The opportunities we have here, friendly or unfriendly, given this negative position, survival through suffering, the inability to correct and its potential for suffering, and the detriment in Mercury, indecision and anxiety, and no escape from misfortune, the demands of correction and its potential to generate anxiety. Then comes the fifth line, therapy. We get to the second floor. The dream of the hexagram is after terminal disease to get into the harmonious therapy. The strength to recognize a problem and to accept that it is beyond one's power to solve it alone. You need the projection field here. The fifth line, the wisdom to both seek and provide guidance. The potential for correction and judgment through relationships and seduction. The mental patient, chronic instability, and potential madness where a relationship cannot assist in correction, the potential of mental instability. So you see here, it's really harmonic to the terminal disease, and it can be both. So that's why there is no moral in human design. The sixth line, the roof, Buddhahood, the perfected form, the Buddha state of the eternal child, and the energy to find new horizon to avoid stasis, the potential of the perfected form through correction, and the detriment fixed by the moon, the mundane application of the above, the ability to tap public opinion and share methodology, the potential to share the values of the correction with others. And that will bring to the next step. The sixth line is always looking to the next step. The 48th gate, the deep well, part of the taste. So if it's not to your liking, to your taste, it's nothing you can do. And here again, we have it's about betterment, making more, making better, and transferring the knowledge from generation to generation, and as well the fear of authorities. Uh, it's a reflector day, so it can be disappointing, surprising, most probably disappointing. And you can look on social media today what and yesterday what the cats dragged in, and how people were disappointed and trying to correct. And let's see where we're grounding in the 17th gate. So it's the gate of opinions in the Ajna Center. And it's part of the channel of acceptance or not, a duality, a design of an organizational being, or not knowing how to organize. And the harmonic, the 62nd gate, preponderance of the small. Again, we have looking at detail, understanding, part of the understanding circuit. And here we have the possibility of being able to organize the formula, the understanding, and prepare it for expression. This is the gate of the student and the teacher. It is the formula brought into to focus. This is the gate of the opinion. The circuit of understanding demands proof and opinions and must have a logical foundation to withstand testing and criticism. So it needs money so it can put things to the test. And these opinions, logical or not, are not always correct. Facts are regularly used in support to lies, and lies are um, preferred as formulas. And this is about the form of the concept, the collective mental possibilities. Gates 11 and 17. They are mm, like mirror associated in our biology with the eyes. The 17th is the right eye, and it is the eye which sees clearly in the now. It is the best eye for experimentation. And the left eye never sees everything at once. These mental concepts are about visualization. It's abstract circuit here. The right eye seeks the fixed pattern and projects out of this pattern. Opinion is like a crystal ball, fixed visually on the pattern in the now and projecting into the future. By design, the question here in the 63rd gate, the logical, um, inspirational energy, which is fuel. Mm, so it is the question. And you have the fourth gate on the other side, which is the answer. And the opinion have no voice, much less any power to act, because you can see how far, again, are the four motors, which are the power. So the mind is far away from a motor, and it's on top of this neck, which the center of expression and contact with the exterior world, outlet for energy and speaking and doing, materialization, manifestation, communication, initiation. When we have a motor fixed to the throat, we have manifestor channels, the initiating. So let's look at the themes of the 17th gate. Yesterday, we were in openness, the energy to sustain a broad spectrum of stimuli, the possibility of having many opinions, a tendency to limit openness to aesthetically pleasing stimuli only, the possibility to limit opinions to what is pleasing. And today, we're in the second line, the natural discrimination, the benefit of association based on the highest value, something which we develop in time. The sun puts it in exaltation, exalts in the successful achievement of purpose through proper alignment, the possibility to develop opinions through relationships. And the moon, on the other hand, puts the detriment in an overreactive discrimination that leaves one virtually alone, the possibility of being opinionated at the expense of relationships. And the third line, which will come tomorrow, understanding the awareness that the best road is not necessarily the most interesting. The following of the best road provides the experience necessary to meet the challenge of the road's end. The understanding that the best opinions are grounded in detail. And earth, in detriment, the taking of shortcuts. One may get to the end quicker, but the essential experience will be missing. The possibility of skipping details and limiting the value of the opinion. Yeah. Then the fourth gate, the personal manager, the ability to probe and discover underlying motivation and resources of those who wish to follow. The possibility of opinions based on the understanding of others. the over-generous and often misguided acceptance of would-be followers, often with disastrous results, the possibility of opinions attracting others. Then we get to the fifth line, the heretical line, no human is an island. The recognition, however, understood that there is no end to hierarchies. The ultimate creative expression of interdependency, whether as God's will or global synthesis, opinions that can express the value of being organized, whether mundane or spiritual. And the other side, the arrogance, despite all the evidence to claim that the buck stops here, the possibility of opinions that refuse to see the value of being organized. And the sixth line, the bodhisattva, perfected following, one with and the same as perfected leading. The great nurturer, the nature of this position is always positive, the possibility and understanding the nature of interdependency to express opinions of value to others. And the other side, the tendency on the perfected path, it is a straight line that ends rather than a circle, where understanding is achieved, the possibility of having the opinion that there is nothing else to learn. And this is looking towards the 21st gate, biting through. So in the sixth line. Then we have the notes still in the second and first gate, the receptive, first line intuition, sensitivity to disharmony and atrophy, the importance of aesthetic, whether inborn or acquired, higher knowing through aesthetics, the assertion of ego in spite of wisdom, the urge for action that will ignore the wisdom of the higher self. And the other perspective, the creative, the gate of self-expression. Creation is independent of will. You cannot be creative from 9 to 5, when it comes when it comes. The moon exalted is a symbol of adaptation. Time is everything here. Self-expression, which has its special timing. And instability leads to distortion. Here, patience is a virtue and revolution is a vice. Creative insatiability unless there is patience. And at the same time, Saturn, which is the discipline and limitation, is in the gate of revolution, the gate of principles. The first line, the law of necessity, revolution has no support unless it is perceived as necessary. So we have genetic continuance here, the understanding and application of this law to maximize expansion of support and thereby ensure viability. The awareness that the potential of a principle is based on it being accepted as viable. Or the other side, the misuse of influence to insist that necessity can be created out of action. The helter-skelter syndrome, to commit acts of disorder as proof that disorder exists. Oversensitivity to rejection that can turn a principle into a crusade. That's where you can be limited. And I know that very well. And it's unconscious with me. So, yeah, sometimes it just happens. So, the limitation actually limits us when we are not following our law and protection. And at this moment, it's in the gate of innocence. I love this gate. It's for me, it represents, it's the eternal love, the blood, which fills the whole body, the vessel of love. And it comes out, the juice comes out of the 10th gate, the gate of behavior coming out of the vessel of love. But the 25th gate is the innocence, really. It's about the gate of the spirit of the self, the perfection of action through uncontrived and spontaneous nature. No agenda, no back thoughts, you know. Um, yeah. So, mhm. Um, yeah. And this is the law, which, if not followed and not perceived as such as protection, being punished in revolution in the 49th gate. So here we have the sixth line: ignorance, false innocence betrayed by actions, the least mild of a negative position, where inappropriate action is censored. The loss of innocence through inappropriate action. See here the behavior. That's what I was exactly meaning with the 10th gate. Mm, although in the 25th gate, the next gate is indeed opinions. So this is where it is looking at the benefit of association based on the highest values. So the highest values are the least mild of a negative position, and on the other hand, constant, inappropriate, and destabilizing actions whose very counterproductiveness strips away the facade of innocence. Constant, inappropriate action in times of challenges that can break the spirit and lose the innocence. And then, of course, you get punished. And the moral values we have in the 46th gate, pushing upward, the gate of determination of the self. We just had it in the with the previous gate, the sun was here. So the second line, prima donna, I love this one. Difficult and demanding nature that succeeds despite its behavior because of the depth of its talents, the determination to succeed that may offend others, and unrealistic demands by Mars here, and offensive nature of egocentric mediocrity, the determination to be treated as a success before it has been realized. So here are the values, moral values, and relating. So when those two are not happening correctly, then we're punished by the 49th line. And let's look at the creative Martian energy, the explosive, immature energy or energy dynamics. It's in the 45th gate, the gatherer together, the gate of the gatherer, in third line, exclusion, an aggressive and often violent reaction to exclusion. And look, it's fixed in the detriment by Mars again. The expression of frustration when not included in a material process. So today, if you see people gathering together in an aggressive and often violent reaction to exclusion, and actually, I just before starting this video, I just saw something on the TV about the political debate, and it was really a violent reaction to exclusion. And two people left the debate because their opponent didn't show up, but for some personal reasons, but he had a replacement, so they got angry or something like that. And it's frustration when not included in the material process. Yeah, it's the third line here, so it's the most material of lines. Very interesting how the program plays out, guys. It's really when you know the weather, what's going on, and it doesn't really matter, but it's so funny to watch. And yeah, see how things unfold and see things for the movie they really are. But by following our strategy and authority, we are in our movie, in nobody else's movie. We watch the program have its own will, put on everything else in the rhythm of things. But we don't have to be in that rhythm. It's not our rhythm, it's the totality rhythm. So we can be in tune with that. But first, be in tune with our own song, our own frequency. And we have our driving force, and where we're thinking of and looking at is coming to meet the gate of alertness. In the fifth line, manipulation, the ability to transform interaction with inferior elements into the energizing of progressive process with the additional benefit that in tapping the inferior elements, they remain weak, where the instinctive recognition of the patterns leads to the possible manipulation of others. And the other side, in Mars, again, the tendency in this form of manipulation to become abusive and degenerate to their level, the possibility that the instinctive recognition of the patterns could lead to the abuse of others. So abuse is also in the air, driving force, making us think about it, coming to meet, um, being skeptical about uh, the marketing and the sales. And here, if it smells rotten, it very well might be. And if it smells a success, very well it might be. So, taste and smell. Then we have Mercury nicely in the gate of the conflict, the gate of friction. So we are communicating and thinking in a lot of friction. And it's also in the third line, allegiance, the ability to secure support and create strength out of a weak position. When connected to the harmonic gate, the 59, mating can that results in conception. And it's not only about physical conception, it can be about projects, it can be about new relationship with a person, maybe even with something else. So it's not purely physical, although we have here the on the other side the sacral center, which is indeed the life, the center of the life energy and life force energy of the generator is the generator signature center. So the distraction of old forms through union, either mundane as above, sexual union, or exalted as universalization. The depth of feelings that can enrich union and intimacy. And detriment in Pluto, the truth, the rejection of allegiance as submission to established order, sensitivity to controls which may eventually reject intimacy. So because the sixth gate, it's about being open or not, it's the pH in the body. So it makes it more acidic if it wants to kill and close the barriers. And the opposite, it makes it more alkaline when it's open and yeah, and allows contact. So looking basically at the transit, and the only thing we didn't see are the slow planets. So Uranus, again, we have in the second line, in the second gate, in the sixth line, fixation. The unusualness, chaos, and innovation is unable or unwilling to see the whole picture. With Mercury exalted, less negative, though the intellect becomes absorbed in constant rationalization, the higher knowing that is extremely narrow in its receptivity. And Saturn, the detriment, the need for security may distort awareness to its ultimate perversion, destructiveness, the higher self absorbed with the mundane and the need for security. And we still are in the gate of crisis in Neptune, so it's something happening behind a veil. It's like Neptune, the water king god, and water being, you know, not always see through. It can be delusional and it can be muddy, or it takes time until the waves can make the water not see through. So this is something happening behind veil. It's an illusion, and spirituality transcendence. It's in the darkening of the light, the gate of crisis, second line support, assistance to others in times of decline, the application of imagination to schemes which benefit others, feelings that can benefit others in times of crisis. And the Pluto, the slowest moving planet, is in the 61st gate, sixth line, inner truth, the gate of mystery, and Pluto is truth, transformation, and psychology. So it's the profound attunement to the collectivity that can lure the public to a truth, inspiration that can bring clarity to the collective. Beautiful. With a lot of crisis, with a lot of judgment and conflict, friction. um, Energy dynamics, exclusion, values relating, being sensitive to rejection, and yeah, at the same time, there is the love of the body, and in the gate of the prima donna, the good fortune may be perceived as a result of serendipity, but derives from effort and dedication at the end. So, my fellow travelers on planet Earth, this is what is the transit field where the planets are mm, conditioning the neutrino field, which is with 3 trillion per second entering our body and each and every cell, bringing us this information, influencing, programming us, homogenizing us, and all of this as a protection umbrella, your strategy and authority, my friends. Glad to be sharing this earth with you, earthlings. Glad to be able to share my perspective and actually Ra's perspective, as it is the transit field through the eyes of the Rave I Ching, written by Ra Uruhu, the founder of the human design system, which is a great instrument to know what's really going on so that you could stay centered in your authenticity despite all the falseness, generalization, and programming of the totality which is going on and which is influencing us and trying to keep us asleep. And the only way where we can actually awaken our passenger and have the possibility to, in the least resistance way, get to our purpose for what we were born to be and achieve, or disachieve and unlearn as well as learn, but stupid before and stupid after. We're here to be limited and feel satisfaction, success, freedom, and surprise in this, in being embodied and fixed in a body, watched by the observer of the immortal soul. Have a great trip of correction when it's correct, invited, and asked for your opinions, also part of a projector channel. So also needs to be invited so that you are successful the following days, fellow travelers. Speak to you soon, and Jolly Flow.